What if we could reverse engineer longevity?
Imagine you're in your 90s, riding a bike, gardening, or doing the splits, thriving. Apparently, this is the reality in 5 specific places around the world
Called blue zones.
where people live the longest and healthiest lives.
These people live to 100.
So what's going on in the blue zones? Can I adopt this lifestyle here in my non-blue zone environment and still live a super long and healthy life? Or is this all kind of BS and marketing hype? I've heard about the blue zones for a while and I've heard all the hype, and I really just want to clean up my diet. I've kind of been eating a lot of meat, sweets, and snacks. So I'm gonna try out the blue zone diet for 3 days. I'm going to see if the diet is good, see if it makes me feel better, and also I'm gonna investigate the controversy because yeah, there is some really juicy controversy. The blue zones are these 5 places across the world: Okinawa, Japan; Sardinia, Italy; Icaria, Greece; Nicoya, Costa Rica; and Loma Linda, California. This all got popular thanks mostly to this guy, Dan Buettner, who identified the common threads between the diets and lifestyles of these areas, which are linked to longevity. In 2024, this Netflix documentary came out, Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zones. So what exactly is the Blue Zones diet? The biggest similarity is that apparently people in the Blue Zones eat 95% plant-based diets. So here is my grocery haul in preparation for this challenge. So many beans, lentils, lots of greens, and lots of fruit. It really looks beautiful and honestly kind of inspiring to see it laid out like this. But let's get back to the diet. You can have a little bit of fish, a tiny bit of meat and dairy, very little alcohol, and the hardest part for me, no processed sugar. I love cookies and chocolate. So I'm kind of a healthy eater as it is, and I don't think this would be super hard for me if I was living alone in my own environment, but I have 2 kids and a husband, all who eat kind of a lot of dairy, sugar, and processed foods. So it's going to be hard to avoid temptation in my cabinets every day. Okay, so let's get going with this challenge. I make my 3-day meal plan thanks to my assistant who works really hard for very cheap, ChatGPT. So here's the meal plan. I'm gonna try to follow it. Let's get into day 1. On the menu for breakfast is coffee, which is technically allowed, and even if it wasn't, I can't skip it. So I had some homemade cold brew, and I cannot drink it black, so I had to put in a little bit of this non-dairy oat creamer, and it does have a tiny bit of added sugar. I only used a little bit, so I don't feel that bad. For food, it's oatmeal made with almond milk with some frozen blueberries. The diet says to have lots of nuts with it. I give it a try, and as expected, it's pretty disgusting. I actually can't stomach this, so I'm adding honey. So I know I'm cheating already, but the goal of the Blue Zones is to live a long and happy life, and I cannot live a happy life if I'm not enjoying my food, so I don't feel so bad about this. Let's move on to lunch. Remember all that produce and beans? I loaded it up in this salad with mixed greens, carrots, lentils, chickpeas, cucumbers, sunflower seeds. It's a little boring. I love a creamy dressing and I love a crouton, but at least I've got sourdough toast on the menu. I've got avocado toast with bagel seasoning. Lunch was pretty satisfying, not mind-blowing, but super healthy tasting. So far, I am surprisingly full and satisfied from all these meals. Normally, I might eat a snack between lunch or dinner, but I didn't on this day. Dinner was this gorgeous hearty bowl full of quinoa, air-fried tofu and soy sauce, roast broccoli, carrot, and sweet potato. I am a sauce girl though, so I added a little homemade sauce made from mayo, soy sauce, and a little sriracha. I got all this healthy food down. I did have a little bit of a sweet tooth, so I satisfied it with 2 medjool dates, and that was it. Before we go on to day 2, let's get into the controversy. Remember how I told you about this guy, Dan Buettner? Well, he takes this Blue Zone concept to the bank, producing documentaries, books, meal plans, a big website. He's doing really well. Then along comes a researcher named Saul Newman, who basically pokes holes in Dan Buettner's entire theory about the Blue Zones. Newman publishes a paper that basically proves the idea of longevity in the Blue Zones is based on some lies due to bad records and even fraud in areas that have higher poverty rates. According to Newman, people in some of these Blue Zone areas never reported that their family members died, so these people who were supposedly living to 100 or in their 90s were actually dead, but family members were collecting their checks for things like pensions. So the data got kind of messed up, according to Newman. If true, this is really bad for Buettner and his whole business. He did respond though. Buettner insisted his data is good. So this is a pretty big deal for the research that backs up this Blue Zone diet. But at the end of the day, if you look at what the Blue Zone's all about, I really think there's some value to it. It's not just a diet, it's also a lifestyle. We will get into that in just a second, but we have to get to day 2. Coffee's the same on day 2, so I guess you could count it as another cheat, but I'm happy, so again, I'm okay with it. Breakfast is a smoothie bowl. I blend together spinach, banana, almond milk, mango, pineapple, and dates, and top it with a generous serving of granola. There is added sugar in my granola, but I don't have time to make my own. While breakfast was delicious, it did not fill me up. By 10:45 a.m., I went back to the kitchen to start cooking my lunch. The menu says lentil or minestrone soup, but it is just too hot for soup, and I've got all this produce, so I go for another salad. Kind of boring because I did the exact thing the day before, but I throw in everything I've got. Mixed greens, lentils, chickpeas, roast sweet potato, carrot, broccoli. I jazz it up by tossing in a scoop of this labneh dip. I eat it with some toasted whole grain pita, and I wasn't fully satisfied, so I went for a piece of sourdough toast as well with butter paired with a pear, which did the trick for a hot minute. You know those days where you just can't get full? On those days, I let myself have a cookie or something delicious and sort of fatty, and I don't feel guilty about it. But on this day, I couldn't do that. So this is what I did instead. I grabbed some more coffee and a mix of cherries, dried figs, and nuts. For dinner, things get a little weird. I meal prepped meatballs and pasta for my family, but then when it came for me, I had to get out to a swim lesson and I threw together something kind of random. I filled a Tupperware with that pasta I made with leftover tofu and some stir-fried veggies. It was a weird mix, but I just called it a day from there. As I mentioned, the secret to longevity in the Blue Zones is not just about the food, but also about the lifestyle. And they call it the Power 9. Number 1, we've already talked about. It's the diet. Mostly plants, lots of veggies, beans, little meat, processed foods, and sugar. Number 2, wine at 5. Number 3, the 80% rule. Drop the fork when you're almost full. Number 4 is movement. Low intensity movement built into your daily life. Number 5, having a purpose. Number 6, downshifting. Reduce your stress with things like prayer, naps, and happy hour. Number 7, belonging. Most Blue Zone areas are faith-based. Number 8, strong family connections. People live close to aging loved ones. Number 9, social connections. Having a strong social network reinforces all of the other positive habits. Doesn't all of that sound so good? So it's not just the diet, which makes me feel less bad about cheating. It's also the combination of your whole lifestyle that leads to this long and happy life. So I've got day 3, and I spark a lot of joy for myself by going out for one of my favorite breakfast treats. This smoothie bowl, it's made of oat milk, bananas, blue spirulina, hence the color, cashew butter, and maca, and on top, granola, strawberries, coconut flakes, hemp seeds, puff brown rice, cashew butter, and local honey. It's amazing. For lunch, it's a Caesar salad from a bag that I jazzed up. They probably don't do this in the Blue Zones, but I'm kind of tired of leafy greens and plain dressing. I spice it up with some leftover quinoa and some more veggies. And then of course, I had to have some sourdough on the side with avocado and bagel seasoning. So I could eat that lunch every day, and I really do eat that lunch in my day-to-day life, so it wasn't that big of a change for me. And I also love to snack on this. It's dates with almond butter, but I just had to put some chocolate chips on top. What can you do? And my final dinner is this pasta combination with pesto and shrimp. It was good, but nothing special. Aside from the controversy, I really like a lot of what the Blue Zone diet stands for, but also the lifestyle with the emphasis on adding movement every day, having that strong sense of community and family and a purpose in your day-to-day life, and I'm definitely going to keep that in mind going forward. As for the diet, I don't think I can keep it up. I really do miss meat, dairy, and sugar. I have a piece of licorice in my hand because I'm about to eat it at the end of this. Let me know what you think of the Blue Zones. Is this something you would try? And if you like this challenge, I think you'll love to see what happened when I did yoga for 30 days straight. You can check that video out right here, and I'll be back for more challenges very soon. Stay curious and be well.